Everyone wants to get rich. Every day, we're surrounded by stories of people making millions from crypto, stocks, businesses, or some random opportunity that seemed to appear overnight. Social media is full of luxury cars, expensive watches, and people claiming they became financially free before turning 25. But here's the thing, what you don't see are the thousands of failed attempts behind every success story. You don't see the people who lost everything chasing quick money. And you definitely don't see the years of patience that most wealthy people actually went through before reaching their goals. The truth is that real wealth is usually built slowly, not in weeks, not in months, but over years. And while that might sound boring, slow wealth has one huge advantage: it actually lasts. I think one of the biggest reasons most people never build wealth is because they underestimate how long it actually takes. And honestly, I used to think the same way. When I first started learning about money and investing, I wanted results fast. I wanted to see my account grow quickly. I wanted proof that what I was doing was working. But after a while, I realized something. Every time I focused on getting rich quickly, I ended up paying more attention to short-term results than long-term progress. And I think a lot of people do the exact same thing. We live in a world where everything happens instantly. We can order food in minutes, watch any movie we want, and get information whenever we need it. So naturally, people expect wealth to work the same way, but it doesn't. Building wealth is actually kind of boring. Most of the time, it's just making smart decisions over and over again, saving money when you'd rather spend it, focusing on habits that improve your financial situation little by little, keeping track of where your money goes. A simple lesson that helped me was this: instead of worrying about what happens this month, try looking at the bigger picture. One good financial decision probably won't change your life overnight, but making those decisions consistently for years can make a huge difference. Most financial progress is hard to notice in the beginning because the changes are small, but small improvements repeated consistently can lead to very different outcomes over time. I honestly don't understand why so many people ignore the small things. People often think a decision only matters if it creates a big result right away. But that's not how wealth works. Small habits, small savings, and small improvements may seem insignificant on their own, yet they often have the biggest impact when enough time passes. That's something I had to learn myself, because wealth isn't built in a moment. It's built through hundreds of small decisions that seem unimportant today but can completely change your financial future years down the road. One thing I've noticed is that a lot of people focus on making money, but not many people think about keeping it and growing it over time. Making money is exciting, watching your investments go up is exciting, seeing your bank account grow is exciting, but keeping that money over the long term is a completely different challenge. It's actually surprising how many people believe that a high income alone is enough to feel financially secure. They focus almost entirely on earning more while ignoring the saving, investing, and wealth building side of the equation. The truth is that earning money is only one part of the process. If you don't learn how to keep and grow what you earn, a bigger income won't automatically create lasting financial security. And I think that's one of the biggest advantages of building wealth slowly. When things happen slowly, you have time to learn, you have time to make mistakes, you have time to figure out what works and what doesn't. If someone suddenly becomes rich overnight, they might have money, but they don't necessarily have the experience that comes with building wealth over many years. We've all seen stories of people who earned a lot of money and then lost it just as fast, and it's because they never developed a clear understanding of what they wanted from their money, how much was enough, or how to manage it properly. And I think those things are incredibly important because money doesn't automatically make someone good with money. The longer I've learned about personal finance, the more I've realized that wealth is often less about how much you earn and more about how you manage what you already have. That's why I like the idea of slow wealth. It's not based on luck. It's not based on finding the next big opportunity. It's based on habits. It's based on consistency. And most importantly, it's based on building something that can actually last. A lot of people look at slow progress and think nothing is happening, like investing money in a market index instead of trying to find the next big thing. Or consider Warren Buffett. Most of his wealth wasn't built overnight. It came from decades of consistent investing and letting compound growth do the heavy lifting. And that's what makes slow wealth so powerful. The results may not seem impressive at first, but over time they can become extraordinary. If there's one thing I've learned while learning about money, it's that time is far more powerful than most people realize. When I first got interested in personal finance, I thought the key was finding the perfect investment, the perfect stock, the perfect opportunity, the perfect moment to start. But over time, I realized that being consistent is usually much more important than being perfect. One of the biggest lessons for me was understanding how valuable time really is. It took me a while to appreciate that small actions today can lead to surprisingly big results over the next 5, 10, or even 20 years. A lot of people underestimate how much progress can happen simply by starting earlier. Instead of taking the first step, they keep waiting until they feel completely ready. They spend months researching, watching videos, reading articles, trying to find the best possible strategy. And while learning is important, there comes a point where taking action matters more than gathering more information. Because time only works for you when you actually start, even if the amount is small, even if the progress feels slow, even if you make a few mistakes along the way. The important thing is getting started and staying consistent. I used to think that before doing anything important, I needed to learn everything first. But looking back, I know that if I'd started earlier, I'd probably be much further ahead today. Not because I would have made perfect decisions, but because I would have gained valuable experience through taking action and learning along the way. Many of the lessons that helped me most didn't come from studying. They came from actually doing things and seeing what worked. The same applies to managing money, investing, and building better financial habits. Of course, learning matters, but waiting until you feel fully prepared often just delays progress. You learn some things before you start, but many of the most important lessons come along the way. That's why I believe it's better to take action, even if you don't know everything yet, because many of the most valuable lessons come from actually doing and learning through experience rather than waiting for the perfect moment that never arrives. One thing I find interesting is that people often overestimate what they can achieve in a few months, but underestimate what they can achieve in 10 years. A few months isn't enough time to completely change your financial situation, but 10 years of good decisions can. Think about it. If you improve your finances a little every year, save a little more, invest a little more, and become slightly better at managing money, those improvements begin to stack on top of each other. At first, the difference is almost impossible to notice, but eventually the gap becomes huge. That's why I think time is one of the greatest advantages anyone can have when building wealth. Not because it guarantees success, but because it gives your good decisions a chance to compound, and the longer you stay consistent, the more powerful those results become. The truth is that most people aren't held back by a lack of opportunities. They're held back by impatience. They want results immediately. But wealth doesn't usually reward impatience, it rewards consistency, and consistency needs time. That's why, in my opinion, one of the smartest financial decisions you can make is simply giving yourself enough time for your efforts to pay off. So, if there is one thing I'd like you to take away from this video, it's this. Building wealth doesn't have to be complicated. A lot of the time, it's simply about making good decisions consistently and giving those decisions enough time to work. That's something I've had to learn myself. For a long time, I thought progress should be obvious. I thought if I was doing the right things, I should see big results quickly, but that's not usually how it works. Most meaningful progress happens slowly, and because it happens slowly, it's easy to underestimate while it's happening. The same is true when it comes to money. The habits you build today might not change your life this month. They might not even change your life this year. But over the course of several years, they can completely change where you end up financially. That's why I believe slow wealth is such a powerful idea. Not because it's exciting, not because it's easy, but because it's realistic. And more importantly, because it lasts. So if your progress feels slow right now, don't let that discourage you. Keep learning. Keep improving, keep making smart decisions, and most importantly, give yourself enough time to see the results. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.